like so many people, I just feel my inbox is full of so many people that are so frustrated with the absolute catastrophe that we face before us today as a country. And I've just watched Rishi Sunak's speech, and I just can't believe it. I just can't believe that the main problem that he thinks is he's saying is the main problem in this country is the far right. There is no far right in this country. There's like a sprinkling of like literally far right people that, you know, might sit there on the internet all the time and watch God knows what, or have a copy of Mein Kampf. But the majority of people that are labelled as far right aren't far right at all. In 2019, there was around 7 million people that had been lifelong Labour voters, and they converted to Tory. They lent the Tories their vote in 2019 because they wanted Brexit done, whether they agreed with Brexit or not. They wanted Brexit done because the British people had made a vote and they wanted democracy upheld. There is no far right in this country. For the last 10 to 15 years, the Tories have sat on a platform of reducing immigration. That's the only reason they're in power. Nobody cares about your green agenda. Nobody gives a shit about anything you do in Europe. Nobody cares. The only reason that the Tories are in power is because people, Tory leaders, including Rishi Sunak, has said that they would ensure that immigration was stopped, that immigration was reduced, that the grooming gang issue would be dealt with, that we would go back to our values of policing without fear or favour, that they would increase the police. All of these things, and you've done nothing. All you've done is import millions and millions and millions of more people, and then tell us we have to work until we're 71 to pay for all of these people, and then tell us whenever we complain about the way any of these people behave that we're wrong, that we're literally far right. We're literally far right. That's what you say to us. We're literally like Nazis. We're far right. We're literally far right. It's insane. We're not far right. 7 million of us that voted for the Tories in 2019 were lifelong Labour voters like me. We're not far right. At our heart, we're socialists. At our heart, we want to do the right thing for society. But this country is our home, and most of us don't have dual nationality. Most of us don't have anywhere to go, and we don't have the money to go anywhere, even if we could. Once you fuck this all up, which you're doing, all of you, we don't have any other options. We have no other option but to fight back. And we're sitting there and we're watching Oldham and Telford, and we're watching 19,000 little girls every single year as young as 8 years old continue to be violently gang raped by foreign men. And they're majority Pakistani Muslims. And yet the floodgates are still opened, and every single day we see video after video after video of men from Pakistan that are on holiday coming here deliberately with the sole purpose of raping our children. And you're quite happy and you're quite understanding, Keir Starmer, and you'll kneel and you'll understand Black Lives Matter and you'll kneel for George Floyd 2,000 miles away. You know, a drug-addled nutcase that violently assaulted a pregnant black woman. But when it comes to little girls in Rotherham and Oldham and Oxford and Swindon and Halifax and the other towns and cities all over the UK that are violently gang raped for hours on end, hours in the most horrific ways, you tell us when we're angry about that we've got no right to be angry about that because it's not particularly our daughters. But it is our daughters. It's the country's daughters. It's tomorrow's women, tomorrow's mothers. And we're sick to death of it. We're absolutely sick to death of horrific moment after horrific moment, from 7-7 to Emily Jones to, you know, the guy with the acid only last month. Just these constant abuses of us, of our people, deliberately targeting white people, deliberately targeting British people, deliberately targeting. Emily Jones was just a little girl on a scooter on Mother's Day in the park. Lee Rigby was a soldier. You know, what's going to happen? When are you going to listen? Why are we not entitled to be scared? Why are we not entitled to be angry? Why do you think that the whole of the British public was entitled to be angry about George Floyd, but we're not entitled to be angry about what's happening to our country, to our people? All of us have children. All of us have children, and you're telling us that we have to literally wait until something horrible happens to our children or us before we're allowed to be outraged. And then when we are outraged, we have to not look back in anger. We have to turn the other cheek. We're not allowed to judge everybody by a small minority of people. Yet the small minority of people that are like wanking away to far right information on the internet and might swing a gun round now and again, i.e. the actual far right, which is literally probably only about 10 people. The minute that happens, all of a sudden every single issue is about the far right. There isn't a far right. If there was a far right, 10 years ago, this country burnt to the ground. You know, there are literally hundreds of thousands of very strong, very angry, very productive, very organised white working class men. There's about 30 million white working class men in this country that would happily take up arms. They've had enough. They've had enough. So if you're going to denigrate everybody as far right and you're going to keep calling everybody as far right, even though they're not far right, there's going to come a point with the British public where they're going to say, well, if I'm going to be hung for a sheep, I might as well be hung for a horse. And they're going to say, if you're going to call me far right, I might as well be far right. If that's what it's going to take to sort this fucking country out, then that's what I'm going to have to do. And that's what all of us are. We're all had enough. We're fed up with it. We're fed up with 300